Title: My best friend stole my girlfriend, so I made sure he'd lose everything. Chapter 1: The Theft. You know that one friend you trust with your life? Yeah, I had one too. We'll call him Ethan. I met him when we were 9. We grew up in the same neighborhood, played the same sports, and had that kind of friendship where people joked we were basically brothers. We went through every stage of life side by side. Awkward middle school years, late-night gaming marathons, even our first jobs flipping burgers. So when I met Samantha, my first serious girlfriend, introducing her to Ethan felt natural. Biggest mistake of my life. For the first 6 months, everything was fine. Sam and I were happy. Ethan was Ethan. Always around, always cracking jokes, always being the life of the party. I never thought twice about it. But then, little things started to happen. I'd catch Ethan looking at her for just a second too long. Sam would forget to tell me about texts from him. They started having inside jokes I wasn't a part of, ones they wouldn't explain when I asked. The final straw? One night, I was stuck at work late and texted Sam that I'd swing by her place. No reply. I figured she was sleeping. On my drive home, I took the long way, right past Ethan's apartment. Her car was there. I sat on my car for 20 minutes staring at that stupid white Honda parked in front of his building. My brain kept coming up with excuses. Maybe she's just visiting as a friend. Maybe she needed help with something. But deep down, I knew. The next morning, she acted normal. Ethan acted normal. And I acted like I believed them. Because that's the thing about betrayal. The second you confront it, you give them power. They get to decide the narrative, twist the truth, gaslight you. I wasn't going to give them that chance. No. I was going to make them pay. I started gathering intel. Ethan has always had one fatal flaw. He's incapable of loyalty. He craves new excitement, the chase, the high of someone new. I'd seen it in his past relationships. He'd start hot, burn bright, then grow cold in weeks. I also knew his job was hanging by a thread after a few minor screw-ups at work. So I started feeding the fire. I introduced him to women I knew he'd find irresistible. Not friends, but friends of friends, people who didn't know his reputation. I subtly mentioned to them that he was probably single, knowing exactly how Ethan would spin that. Meanwhile, I let Sam think everything was perfect. Flowers, date nights, pretending not to notice when she forgot plans we made. It was all a part of the setup. 3 months later, Ethan started disappearing. I'd hear from mutual friends that he'd been spotted out with some new brunette. Sam started showing cracks, passive-aggressive texts, asking if I'd seen him, wondering why he was so busy lately. I played dumb every single time. Then came the perfect opportunity. Ethan's company was planning a big promotion. He was desperate for it. But I knew something about him that his boss didn't. Ethan had been borrowing company equipment for his side hustle. I had proof, texts, photos, receipts. It wasn't hard to make sure those anonymous documents ended up in the right inbox. The promotion vanished. Ethan's boss started watching him like a hawk, and at home, Sam was becoming suspicious that he wasn't his only one. I just needed one last push to bring it all crashing down. So I set the stage. A mutual friend was throwing a big house party. I made sure both Ethan and Sam were invited. I also made sure the brunette Ethan had been seeing for the past month got an invite and a reason to show up late. When she walked in, she didn't waste a second. She went straight up to Ethan and kissed him. Sam was standing right there. The room went dead silent. Ethan's face drained of color. Sam's face went red. She looked at me, maybe expecting shock, maybe expecting me to defend her, but I just smiled. Because in that moment, Ethan didn't just lose his girlfriend, he lost me. He lost his job security. He lost his reputation in our friend group. And I wasn't done yet.
Chapter 2: The Boomerang. After that party, Ethan tried damage control. He texted me the next morning with, "Bro, it's not what it looked like." I didn't even reply. For weeks, I watched him scramble. He called Sam, she blocked him. He reached out to our mutual friends. Most of them ghosted him, partly because they hated what he did to me, and partly because they didn't want to be around someone who could implode so spectacularly. The thing about Ethan was, he thrived on attention. When people stopped giving it to him, he unraveled. And I was going to make sure he unraveled completely. Remember that side hustle I mentioned? The one where he borrowed company equipment? Well, his boss didn't fire him right away. Instead, they started digging. And because I may or may not have dropped a few extra breadcrumbs, they found more than they expected. Fraud, misuse of resources, a fake invoice trail. The day he got fired, I heard about it before he did. But losing his job wasn't enough for me. Ethan had always been obsessed with looking like he was winning at life. Perfect job, perfect relationship, perfect apartment. That image was his currency. So I went after that. I knew his landlord. Not well, but enough to have a friendly chat. Let's just say Ethan had been late on rent more than once. And when the landlord found out he no longer had a job, the eviction notice came fast. I didn't technically get him kicked out. I just made sure the right people knew the right things at the right time. Within 2 months of the party, Ethan was living back in his mom's basement. No girlfriend, no job, no apartment. His reputation was toast. And then came the cherry on top. See, Sam reached out to me, not to get back together. She wanted to apologize. She admitted everything. That the night I saw her car at his place, they'd hooked up. That she thought Ethan was different and more exciting than me. That she now realized he was just a selfish player who used her for an ego boost. I listened. And then I told her something I'd been holding in for months. You know what's funny? I knew from day one you'd regret it. All I had to do was wait. I ended the call. I never spoke to her again. As for Ethan, he tried to reconnect. Sent me this long, guilt-ridden Facebook message about how he missed our friendship and we were like brothers. I didn't respond. Not because I was still angry, but because he didn't matter anymore. The beauty of a boomerang revenge is that you don't have to chase it. You just throw it and wait for it to come back. Ethan's came back harder than he ever expected. And I never even had to lift a finger in the end.